At 16, my parents shipped me off to military school so my star athlete sister could use my college fund for her training. So 10 years later, when I became a decorated general and she failed her career, I showed up at their house to announce I'd bought it and they had 30 days to leave. Hello lovelies. If you haven't yet, subscribe and say hi in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Now let's get back into the story. I was 16 when my parents called that family meeting. I remember the smell of my mother's pot roast filling our dining room, the way the evening light filtered through the curtains. My younger sister Alina sat across from me, her track medals glinting on the wall behind her like a shrine. Sweetheart, we need to talk about your future, Dad began, not meeting my eyes. My stomach dropped. I'd just gotten my acceptance letter to the state university's pre-med program. Full academic scholarship. I thought they'd be proud. Alina's coach says she has Olympic potential, Mom continued, her hand covering Alina's. But the training facility costs $40,000 a year. I nodded, still not understanding. That's amazing for her. My scholarship covers everything, so... Your college fund, Dad interrupted. We need it for Alina's training. The room tilted. What? You have that scholarship, Mom said quickly. Alina needs this money more than you do. This is her shot. But that's my money. Grandma left it for my education. My voice cracked. Alina finally spoke, her voice soft but deliberate. Some of us have real talent, Jasmine. Not everyone can just study their way through life. This is about legacy. Family legacy. That word. Legacy. As if my dreams meant nothing. We've already enrolled you in military school, Dad said, sliding papers across the table. You leave next month. They'll give you structure, discipline. Make something of yourself. I stared at those papers, at my parents' signatures already dried on the dotted lines. They'd decided without me. My sister smirked behind her water glass. That night I understood what betrayal tasted like. The military academy stood 3 states away, a fortress of brick and iron gates. Mom didn't cry when we pulled up. Dad checked his watch twice during our goodbye. This is for the best, Mom said, adjusting my collar. Alina needs stability at home right now. Her training schedule is demanding. And I don't need stability? The words came out sharper than intended. Dad's jaw tightened. Watch your tone. We're making sacrifices for this family. Alina had stayed home, citing an early morning training session. She'd hugged me the night before, whispering, "Don't be dramatic. You'll be fine." Her eyes held no warmth, only victory. As my parents drove away, I watched their car disappear down the tree-lined drive. No looking back. No waving. Just gone. My roommate, Cameron, found me unpacking with tears streaming down my face. "First day's always rough," she said, sitting on her bunk. "What's your story?" "My parents chose my sister over me," I said simply. She nodded like she understood. "My dad chose drugs over me. We've all got something that brought us here. Question is, what are you gonna do about it?" That question haunted me through the first brutal weeks. 5 a.m. runs. Inspection drills. Classes that demanded perfection. I called home every Sunday. Alina always answered, her voice sweet as poison. "Mom and Dad are at my competition," she'd say. Or, "They're meeting with my nutritionist." Once, devastatingly, they said to tell you they're busy this month. On week 6 I stopped calling. If they'd chosen her, I'd choose myself. I threw everything into training. Every push-up was anger transformed. Every mile run was pain channeled into power. The letters started coming 3 months in. Not from my parents, from Alina. "Dear Jazz," the first one read. "Mom says you haven't called. Don't be childish. We're family." I burned it in the bathroom sink, watching her perfect cursive curl into ash. But they kept coming. Every 2 weeks. Each one a knife disguised as concern. "Training is incredible. Coach says I'm the best he's seen in 20 years. Mom and Dad came to watch me break the state record. Wish you could have been there." My hands shook reading that one. They'd never missed my academic competitions. Never once. The college fund is almost depleted. Dad had to take a second mortgage on the house, but he says it's worth it. I'm going to make them proud. Make us all proud. Second mortgage. For her dreams. While I wore second-hand uniforms and saved every penny from my weekend work-study job. But her fifth letter changed something. I made the national team trials, Jazz. This is happening. Everything Mom and Dad sacrificed is paying off. I hope you understand now why they made the choices they did. Some people are born for greatness. Others are born to support it. I read that letter 7 times. Then I walked to my company commander's office. Sir, I want to request advanced placement in leadership training. Captain Morrison looked up from his desk. That program's brutal, cadet. Most don't make it through. I know, sir. I'm not most people. His eyes held mine. Then he smiled. No, I don't believe you are. Application approved. I never wrote back to Alina. Not once. My silence became my weapon. Leadership training broke most candidates within weeks. The physical demands were crushing. The mental games were worse. They'd wake us at random hours, simulate crisis scenarios, force decisions under impossible pressure. I thrived. You've got something in you, cadet, Sergeant Rivera told me after I'd led my unit through a 48-hour field exercise. Something burning. Don't lose it. But don't let it consume you either. Too late for that advice. The burning was all I had left. I graduated top of my class at 18. Commissioned as a second lieutenant at 19. While Alina was traveling to track meets, I was deployed overseas. While she was doing interviews about her inspiring journey, I was leading soldiers through combat zones. The letters from home had stopped entirely. My parents sent nothing. No birthday cards. No Christmas calls. Radio silence as if I'd never existed. But I wasn't alone. My unit became my family. Cameron was stationed 2 posts over. We video called weekly. Captain Morrison, now Major Morrison, became a mentor who actually saw me. You're punishing yourself, he said one night after a particularly brutal training session. Working yourself to death won't hurt them. It'll only kill you. I'm not punishing myself, I said. I'm building something they can't take away. 5 years in, I made captain. My evaluation report used words like exceptional, transformative, natural-born leader. I kept every commendation in a locked box. Evidence. Proof that their choice had been catastrophically wrong. Then came the call that changed everything. I was 26 when my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Military life teaches you to be suspicious of unexpected calls. Jazz. Alina's voice cracked through the speaker. It's me. 7 years of silence shattered in 2 words. My hand tightened around the phone. What do you want? I'm calling from the hospital. He was crying. Alina never cried. I tore my ACL. Completely. The doctors say my career is over. I should have felt satisfaction. Victory. Instead I felt nothing. Just emptiness where anger used to live. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. That's devastating. Mom and Dad are here. They're... She sobbed harder. Everything they sacrificed. All that money. For nothing. I failed them. You didn't fail, I heard myself say. Injuries happen. It's not your fault. Just they want to talk to you. They've been asking about you, wanting to reconnect. No. The word came out sharp and final. I need to go. I hung up before she could respond. Before they could get on the line and pretend the last 7 years hadn't happened. Before they could explain away the abandonment with words like misunderstanding or difficult choices. Major Morrison found me on the training grounds at midnight, running until my lungs burned. Got a call from your family? He asked, falling into step beside me. How did you? That look on your face. I've seen it before. Ghosts coming back to haunt. He was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? Nothing, I said. Absolutely nothing. But the universe had other plans. 3 months after Alina's call, I received orders to Washington. A promotion ceremony. They were making me a brigadier general at 26, the youngest in my division's history. The night before the ceremony, I stood in my dress uniform, staring at my reflection. 1 star on my shoulder. A chest full of medals. Ribbons telling stories of valor my family knew nothing about. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Lena. I saw the news article about your promotion. Congratulations. Mom and Dad saw it too. They're really proud. I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, they had 7 years to be proud. Her reply came immediately. Please. They made mistakes. We all did. But your family. This achievement should be celebrated with family. I'll be surrounded by family, I wrote back. My unit. The soldiers who actually showed up for me. The ceremony was beautiful. Major Morrison pinned my star. Cameron flew in to attend. My commander gave a speech about dedication and sacrifice that had nothing to do with athletic dreams or stolen college funds. Afterwards, at the reception, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from numbers I'd deleted years ago but somehow still recognized. Dad, we saw the ceremony online. So proud of you, sweetheart. Mom, call us when you can. We miss you terribly. Alina, please don't shut us out. We need you. I blocked them all. Every single number. If they needed me now when I was decorated and successful, they could keep needing. I'd needed them at 16. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I hired a private investigator. The decision felt both petty and necessary. I needed to know what had happened to them, to the family that had discarded me like yesterday's trash. The report arrived 2 weeks later. 47 pages of financial records, photographs, and documentation that made my stomach turn. The house, my childhood home, was in foreclosure. Dad had taken out 3 mortgages total, not just one. All for Alina's training. When she got injured and the sponsorships evaporated, the debt remained. Crushing, suffocating debt. Alina was working retail at a sporting goods store. The irony was almost poetic. Surrounded by equipment she could no longer use, dreams she could no longer chase. Mom had sold her jewelry. Dad had cashed out his retirement. Everything they'd owned was gone, sacrificed at the altar of Olympic dreams that never materialized. They'd lost it all betting on the wrong daughter. But the investigator found something else. Something that made my blood run cold. There's a sale scheduled, he'd written in his summary. The house goes to auction in 60 days. Current bid is sitting at $270,000. I looked at my bank account. Years of careful saving. Military salary with combat pay. Investment dividends. I had almost $400,000 saved. Cameron called that night like she always did when I was spiraling. You're thinking something crazy, she said. I can hear it in your voice. Define crazy. Jazz. Whatever you're planning, think it through. I have thought it through, I said. For 7 years I've thought about nothing else. Revenge doesn't heal wounds. It just creates new ones. This isn't revenge, I said quietly. This is justice. The auction was online. Anonymous bidding. I sat in my office on base watching the numbers climb. 280. 290. 300,000. At 320 the other bidders dropped out. I waited, finger hovering over the keyboard. This was it. The point of no return. I clicked. Final bid $350,000. Cash offer. Sold flashed across the screen. I own my childhood home. The house where they'd told me I wasn't worth investing in. The house they'd mortgaged twice for my sister's dreams. It was mine now. The paperwork took 3 weeks to process. During that time I said nothing. Did nothing. Just waited. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia who'd served in the JAG Corps, handled everything remotely. You're sure about this? She asked during our final call. Once we serve the eviction notice, there's no going back. I'm sure. 30 days is the legal minimum. It's also brutal. They gave me 4 weeks notice before military school, I said. I'm being generous. She was quiet for a moment. Your family has no idea you're behind this? None. This is going to destroy them. They destroyed me first, I said. I'm just returning the favor. The closing happened on a Tuesday. I took leave from the base, flew back to my home state for the first time in 10 years. The city looked smaller than I remembered. The streets narrower. Everything diminished by time and distance. I drove past the house twice before parking. It looked tired. Paint peeling. Lawn overgrown. The neglect was visible from the curb. Tomorrow I'd knock on that door. Tomorrow I'd face them. Tonight I sat in my rental car and remembered the girl I'd been. I knocked at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Strategic timing. They'd be home. Together. No escape. Mom answered. She'd aged decades in 10 years. Gray streaked through her hair. Lines carved deep around her eyes. She stared at me like I was a ghost. Jasmine. Her voice broke on my name. Hello, Mother. Oh my God. Oh my God, you're here. You're really here. She reached for me. I stepped back. Is everyone home? I need to speak to the whole family. Something in my tone made her freeze. Yes. Alina and your father are in the living room. Just sweetheart, please come in. We've missed you so much. I'm not here for a reunion. I walked past her into the house. Smelled the same. That specific combination of old wood and my mother's lavender soap. But it felt different. Darker. Smaller. Dad stood when he saw me. Alina gasped from the couch. She looked broken in a way that had nothing to do with her injury. Defeat lived in her eyes. Jess, Dad said. You're home. I'm not home, I corrected. I'm here on business. I pulled the envelope from my bag. Legal documents. Proof of ownership. The eviction notice with official stamps and signatures. I'm the one who bought the house, I said clearly. I'm your new landlord. And I'm here to inform you that you have 30 days to vacate the premises. The silence was deafening. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's face went gray. Alina just stared. That's not funny, Dad finally said. It's not a joke. I laid the papers on the coffee table. Everything's legal and binding. You have 30 days. You can't do this, Mom whispered. We're your family. You stopped being my family 10 years ago. Jess, please. Mom's voice cracked. Let us explain. We made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but we were trying to do what was best. Best for who? The words erupted from somewhere deep and raw. Best for Alina? Because it sure as hell wasn't best for me. Dad stepped forward. We thought you were stronger. More independent. Alina needed more support, more guidance. She needed $40,000 a year and my entire future. I cut him off. Don't dress it up as parenting. You chose her. You threw me away. That's not fair. Alina spoke for the first time. She looked small, diminished. Nothing like the confident athlete from my memories. They sacrificed everything for me. I didn't ask them to take your fund. But you didn't stop them, did you? I turned to face her fully. You stood there in that dining room and told me some people are born for greatness while others are born to support it. Remember that. She flinched. I was 16 and stupid, and you got everything while I got nothing. My voice stayed steady cold. 7 years. Not one birthday card. Not one phone call. Not one moment where any of you wondered if I was alive or dead. We wanted to call, Mom sobbed. We did. But we thought you needed space. You seemed so angry. I was a child. The words echoed off the walls. I was 16 years old and you abandoned me. You don't get to rewrite history now that your investment failed. The cruelty of that last sentence landed like a physical blow. Alina made a wounded sound. Mom pressed her face into her hands. Dad's voice came out broken. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. Absolutely nothing. That's the point. You want revenge, Alina said suddenly, standing up. Her voice gained strength. Fine. We deserve it. We failed you. We chose wrong. Is that what you want to hear? I don't want anything from you. Yes, you do. She limped toward me, the ACL injury still affecting her gait. You want us to hurt like you hurt. You want us to know what it feels like to lose everything. Alina, stop, Dad warned. No. Her eyes blazed with something like the old fire. She deserves the truth. All of it. Mom made a strangled sound. Alina, please. They wanted to call, Alina said to me. Every single day for the first year. Mom cried herself to sleep. Dad drank himself stupid. They were drowning in guilt. Then why didn't they? I demanded. Because I told them not to. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I told them you were better off without us. That you'd moved on. That calling would just hurt you more. The air left the room. What? I was jealous, she continued, tears streaming. You were always smarter, more focused, more determined. Everything came easy to you. Grades, awards, respect. I had to work 3 times as hard just to be seen. When they finally chose me, I didn't want to share that. So I kept them away from you. Alina, God, Mom breathed. I told them you'd asked for space. That you'd called me privately and said you needed time. I showed them fake texts I'd created. I convinced them that reaching out would damage you further. Her voice broke completely. I sabotaged every attempt they made to contact you because I didn't want to lose their attention again. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I'm not innocent in this, she finished. None of us are. But Jazz, they did want you. I just made sure they couldn't have you. Dad collapsed into his chair. Is that true? Alina, is that true? All of it, she whispered. Every word. Mom's face had gone white. You told us she hated us. That she'd said we were dead to her. You showed us messages. I faked them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Alina turned back to me. I destroyed our family because I was selfish and scared and 16 years old. And I've lived with that guilt every single day since. I stood frozen, my entire worldview cracking apart. 10 years of anger. 10 years of imagined scenarios where my parents deliberately abandoned me. And it was all built on lies fed by a jealous teenager. But they'd still made the choice. They'd still taken my college fund. They'd still shipped me away. It doesn't change what they did, I said finally. You didn't force Dad to drain my college fund. You didn't force them to mortgage the house 3 times. You didn't force them to choose your dreams over my education. No, Dad said quietly. We did that ourselves. Alina just made it easier to live with. He stood, walked to the window. His shoulders shook. We told ourselves you'd be fine. That you were tough enough to handle military school. That the scholarship meant you didn't need the money as much. Every excuse in the book to justify stealing from our own daughter. You destroyed my childhood, I said. Both of you. All 3 of you. Yes, Mom agreed. We did. And we've lost everything because of it. The house, our savings, our retirement, our family. We're getting exactly what we deserve. I looked at them. Really looked. 3 broken people who'd made catastrophic choices based on fear and jealousy and misguided priorities. They'd lost everything. They were losing their home. They had nothing left. I had one. Completely and totally. So why did I feel so empty? I left without saying anything else. Drove to my hotel. Stared at the ceiling for 6 hours while my phone buzzed with ignored calls. Cameron finally broke through. I'm assuming the confrontation happened. You alive? Alive. Not sure if I'm okay. Tell me. I told her everything. Alina's confession. My parents' guilt. The complete annihilation of the narrative I'd built my adult life around. So what now? She asked when I finished. I don't know. I own their house. I gave them 30 days. The law is on my side. Screw the law. What does your heart say? My heart. I laughed bitterly. My heart was ripped out when I was 16. I don't know if I have one anymore. Yes, you do. That's the problem. If you were heartless, this would be easy. He was right. If I'd truly stopped caring, I wouldn't feel this crushing weight in my chest. I drove back to the house the next morning. They were all sitting on the front porch like they'd been waiting. Maybe they had been. I'm not withdrawing the eviction, I said without preamble. Alina's face fell. But I'm extending it. You have 6 months. Use that time to get your finances in order, find somewhere new to live. Jazz, Dad started. I'm not done. I held up my hand. In 6 months you're out. This house is mine. I'm keeping it. But I'm not throwing you into the street tomorrow. That's more than you gave me. Thank you, Mom whispered. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because I'm better than you raised me to be. I turned to leave, then stopped. And for the record, the military didn't make something of me. I made something of myself despite everything you did to prevent it. Remember that when you're packing. I drove away from that house for the second time in my life. This time I wasn't a scared 16-year-old girl. I was a decorated general who'd fought for every inch of her success. I'd won, but winning felt a lot like losing. 6 months later I received a letter. Not from Alina this time. From Dad. Just, we're out of the house. You'll find it clean and empty. Your mother planted roses in the garden, your grandmother's favorite. A small gift, inadequate as it is. You asked what we wanted from you. The answer is nothing. We wanted to give you something instead. Closure. The truth is we failed you long before military school. We failed you every time we compared you to your sister. Every time we made your achievements about her potential. Every time we treated love like a finite resource instead of something that multiplies when shared. You said the military didn't make you. You're right. You were always extraordinary. We were just too blind to see it until we'd lost you. We don't ask for forgiveness. We don't expect reconciliation. We just wanted you to know. You were always enough. You were always more than enough. The failure was ours, not yours. We'll carry that knowledge to our graves. Dad. I read that letter 17 times. Then I locked it in the box with my commendations. Evidence. Proof that I'd survived. That I'd thrived. That their choices hadn't broken me. I kept the house. Turned it into transitional housing for veterans struggling with homelessness. Every soldier who walked through those doors would find support, resources, and belief. Everything I'd needed at 16. Everything my family couldn't give. The irony wasn't lost on me. The house they'd sacrificed everything for, the house they'd lost, was now saving people they'd never meet. It had become something better than a family home. It had become hope. I never spoke to my parents again. Never returned Alina's calls. I'd given them 6 months of mercy. That was all they'd get. Some wounds don't heal. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. And some families are better left behind. I built a new family. My soldiers. My unit. The people who showed up when it mattered. Cameron stood beside me at my wedding 2 years later. Major Morrison walked me down the aisle. My chosen family filled every seat. My blood family wasn't invited. They'd made their choice 10 years ago. I just made mine. If you've been through family betrayal, if you've been the child who wasn't chosen, if you've had to build yourself from nothing, your pain is valid. Your anger is justified. And your success is the greatest revenge. Drop a comment if this story resonated with you. Subscribe if you want more real stories about overcoming toxic families and finding strength in the darkest moments. Sometimes the family you choose is the only family that matters. You were always enough. They just couldn't see it.